Hello, team. Yeah, let's do the mid-year freakout tag. Let's just do it. Hello, team. My name is Monique. In case you didn't know, this is Bookwitch Reviews, and I did a tag last year called the mid-year freak out book tag, and I don't feel like that title is good whatsoever, but I can come up with a better one. I also don't actually know who did the original video, but I will leave a link to my original video down below, the one that I did last year, and if I can find out who actually did the original tag, then I will leave a link to them as well. And basically, we are now in July, which means that we are slightly past the exact midpoint of the year, but we're just gonna run with it. I am wearing an hoodie. It has avocado and toast on it, and I love it a lot. And I'm just slightly overwhelmed by the entirety of life, so let's talk about some books instead, shall we just? So the first question of the book tag is favorite book so far, and it should come to absolutely zero surprise to anyone that I currently have two and I can't pick. It's these ones. Babies! These are both Illumicrate special editions. This is The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke, and this is The Jasmine Throne by Tasha Suri. Both of these are the beginning of new high fantasy series. This one, I believe, is called The Magic of the Lost, and the series for The Jasmine Throne is called The Burning Kingdoms. And basically, both of these are sapphic and like adult fantasy, and it's no surprise that I love them a whole heck of a lot. So let's start with the first book that I read. This is The Unbroken by C.L. Clarke. As I mentioned, it is an adult military fantasy. In it, we are following Terrain, who is a young sort of conscript who, as a child, was basically taken out of her country and raised elsewhere with a group of other conscripts, and they are now like a group and a troop together, and they get sent back to quell a rebellion in their original home country. And then we are also following Luca, who is a princess, but she is a princess that is being pushed out of her throne by her uncle, and he sends her away and says that maybe if you can kill this rebellion, then we can talk about you taking over the throne that is rightfully yours. So she needs a turncoat, and in comes Terrain and Terrain's arms. Okay. The Jasmine Throne is a sapphic, like, absolutely massive exploration of a fantasy world inspired by the epics of India. In it, we are following a princess who has been sort of pushed out and is now stuck in a temple far from home. We are also following a young maidservant who may not be a maidservant at all. There is a plant like plague, there is ancient gods steering. It is amazing. There's a waterfall scene with some knives, and I'm just both of these I love them a lot. They're my favorite. I can't pick. Later in the year, when I do have to pick, I'm gonna have to read both of them again. Oh, how the hardships. Next question is my favorite sequel, and there are two. There is The Galaxy and the Ground Within by Becky Chambers, which is the fourth book in the Wayfarer series. This one is about like some loosely connected characters to the first book, A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. And basically there are these, I believe it's 4 different characters that all end up stuck on this truck stop of a planet because there is a massive like outage, or there's like basically something happens and they all get stuck there together. And it was just, it was so good, and I had a lot of feelings about it. It was excellent, really. And some people say that it's the last Wayfarer book, and I don't know if I'm okay with that. Another sequel I obviously also have to talk about is this mofo. This is The House of Always by Jen Lyons, which is the 4th book in the A Chorus of Dragons series. I love this. I love this whole series. It literally lives with me. It lives in my heart, and I want everyone to read it. It is an epic fantasy series that starts with The Rune of Kings, where we meet Kieran, who is the young adopted son of a bard who finds out that he is actually nobility. But as he gets dragged into that world, he finds out that there may be some prophecies about him that foretell that he is one of the reasons for the end of the world. And it's just so queer and amazing, and I love it a lot. In this book finally gave me the moment I've been waiting 4 books for, but there is only 1 book left and I feel like it is going to kill me. The third question is a release that has already come out that you are excited for but have not yet read, and I have a few of those, but the one that I am very excited for and hoping to read in July is In the Ravenous Dark by A.M. Strickland. This is a dark, gritty, new adult fantasy novel. In it, we are following a young woman who has been hiding her magic her entire life because the sort of powers that rule this like world say that if you do have magic, you are sort of bound to a spirit for it. And basically, she gets bound to people, and as she tries to escape, she also maybe gets bound to like a princess or something like that. And there's meant to be polyamory in here and a really great pan rep, and I'm just like, another stunning Illumicrate has killed it. Okay, go join the Illumicrate tribe culture. Do it, do the thing. Fourth question is an anticipated release that comes out in the next 6 months, and I have quite a few, but let's talk about 2 books that I can't wait for. The first one is The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik, which is the second book in the Scholomance, which is a sort of a new adult magic school setting where the school is trying to eat its students. The first book, A Deadly Education, was my favorite book of last year, basically. And then I am also so very excited for The Scratch Daughters, which is meant to come out in October. It is by Hannah Abigail Clark. It's the second book to The Scrape Graces, which is like an intense teenage coven queerness magical realism story, and I love it with my whole goddamn heart, and I can't wait to read the next book. Like, I will die. Do I look like a homeless person in this? Am I too hot? No. I feel like I look cute, and if I don't, then fuck you. Fifth question is a book that disappointed, and I'm sad to say that I've only had a few of these so far this year, but it's mainly The Ones We're Meant to Find by Joan He, which is a sort of dystopian setting where we are following 2 sisters who are sort of trying to reunite, and it's just, I wanted to love this book, and I didn't, and I can't explain why, because it's not, I don't think in any way that it's a bad book, but it was just not for me, and I just really wanted it to be done with, and yeah, it was okay. Yeah. Question number 6 is a book that surprised, and I have a few of these. I got surprised by a few books, which is wonderful, but the one that mainly surprised me was The Midnight Bargain by C.L. Polk, which is a magical realism book that is sort of like Bridgertons meet like magicians. It's a weird story of a young woman who is trying to prove to her father that she doesn't need to marry and that he should just let her help him with the family business so that she can continue to study magic, because in this society, as a young woman, if you have magical powers, you are basically sold into other families so that the magical sort of bloodline can stay with you. But if you do get married, you can never use magic again. So she sort of has to choose between learning more magic or like saving her family, who was basically lost all of their money. And it was just such a wonderful, like, intense read. It has these really beautiful ball scenes and a really cute romance, and it was just, yeah, it was good. I even cried a little. Another one that also surprised me was Blackheart Nights by Laura Eve, which is like a reimagining of the legend of King Arthur. However, it is set in like a weird dystopian futuristic fantasy London where knights drive motorcycles and fight in arenas like gladiators. And we are following the like 2 viewpoints of Arthur as a young man and a young woman called Red who is seeking revenge. And they are sort of like catapulting towards each other. And it's just so intense and so gritty and so queer. Everyone is queer in that book, and I love it. The 7th question is a new to you author, and I can't help but talk about this lovely lady, or this lovely series. So Jessica Townsend has written the Nevermore series. There are currently 3 books out, and Nevermore is the first book. It is called Nevermore, The Trials of Morgan Crowe. This is a middle grade where we are following Morgan Crowe, who is a 11-year-old girl who is a cursed child, which means that she is set to die on her 12th birthday, except for on her 12th birthday, a funky man shows up called Jupiter North, and he whisks her away to Nevermore, where he says that she can take part in these trials to become a member of the Wanderers Society. And this whole book is just absolutely wonderful. I loved the first book, but the third book was literally like magical, like the goodness of the good. Okay, so good, and I really want everyone to pick this book up. Question number 8 is your new fictional crush, and there is only one real answer to this, and it is Terrain. Terrain and Terrain's arms. I want her to marry me, please. Question number 9 is your new favorite character, and I have a lot of them, but especially one comes to mind, and that is James Jupiter from The Once and Future Witches by Alex E. Harrow. This is like a magical realism book that is set in a slightly different version of our own world, where witches have always been real and are quite integral to history. And in it, we are following these 3 sisters who have been apart and are now coming back together and are taking part in the suffragettes movement, which may or may not become the witch movement. And James Juniper is just like, she's just a little rogue, and I just love her like a lot. And this book was so incredibly good, and I kicked myself over the fact that I didn't just pick it up immediately when I got it. Question number 10 is a book that made you cry, and I have actually cried a little bit this year already, but I especially cried to The Mask Falling by Samantha Shannon. This is the 4th book in the Bone Seasons, which is a dystopian series set in a world much like our own, except for the fact that clairvoyancy is real but also very illegal. And in the first book, The Bone Season, we meet Paige Mahoney, who is a militia for this sort of underground gang, and it's just so intense. And this book literally, like, it hurt my soul in both a really amazing way, but also in just a deeply hurtful way. And I'm not prepared for the next book because Samantha Shannon like holds back 0 punches. Like, it's like getting beaten up reading one of her books. Question number 11 is a book that made you laugh, and I also had some really funny books this year, but I especially laughed at The Bone Maker by Sarah Beth Durst. This is a adult fantasy standalone where we are following sort of this group of middle-aged heroes who have to sort of join back together because the leader is trying desperately to bring back her old lover to life. However, the great evil that they vanquished many years ago might not actually be gone, and it's just funny and sarcastic, and I am a big fan of like middle-aged heroes. They're just wonderful. Question number 12 is the most beautiful book, and to be all honest, all of my books are fucking beautiful, but especially this book. Okay, so this is The Chosen and the Beautiful by Nhi Vo, which is a almost reimagining of The Great Gatsby. However, the main character is a young Vietnamese adoptee, and also in this Gatsby, magic is real, and the writing is absolutely stunning. Like, it's like if it was a meal, it's one of those that you would have to take your time eating, but at the same time you wanted to gorge yourself completely. And also, I love this cover. This is The Dawn Hounds by Sasha Strongage, which is a almost sort of like cyberpunk like plant evolving world. It's weird, and in it we are following this disgraced cop who is bisexual, but in this world it is very much looked down upon, and she sort of ends up walking into something that she shouldn't have, and she gets killed, except the death does not stick, and she gets brought back by this ancient animal deity, and it talks in between chapters, and it was just so good and so weird, and I love it. And then the final question is 6 books you'd like to read before the year is up. And I obviously have quite a lot of books I would like to read, but I made a small stack of books that I feel like I really should read before the end of the year. The first one is The Gilded Ones. I'm doing shit. The first one is The Gilded Ones by Naomi, which is a new adult fantasy novel about like warrior women, and I've been so anticipating it, and yet I'm scared to read it. Then we have The Bone Ships by R.J. Barker, which I've only heard amazing things about. It is an epic fantasy about these ships made out of dragon bones, and I want to read it. Apparently we're taking this off right now. Then we have A Skinful of Shadows by Frances Harding, which is a book that I found secondhand. I wanted to read it for a long time, and I can't actually tell you what this one is about, but the cover is very beautiful. Next, we have Ashlords by Scott Reagan, which is a book that I've been anticipating since last year. I think it came out in January last year, and I only just got it for Christmas. But it's just one that I really want. It's like Phoenix Horses, and I think the second book is already out, and I want to read it. Next, we have Legendborn by Tracy Deonn, which is a sort of magic school, black girl magic, something about King Arthur as well, and I've only heard amazing things about this one. Like literally people are crazy about it. And finally, one of my newer additions to my TBR, this is the Book of Dragons, which is a collection of short stories featuring dragons from very well-known fantasy authors, and it is illustrated by Verena Kai, and I absolutely adore this book. I really do. And that was the mid-year book freak-out tag. I really hate that title. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you would like to take part, please do, and leave your links down below so that I can check them out. And then I hope you guys are having a wonderful time. I hope this video finds you well, and I hope that you remember that I am proud of you, because I am. And then don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, hit subscribe button at the same time so you don't miss out on any other videos from me. You can also click the little bell which gives you a notification when I put up a new video, which I do regularly. And then take care. I'm gonna go have a nap.